Should have heard a mood change in that really quick phrase I played. I'll do it again. Listen for the mood. Welcome back to Maqam Lessons. Today we are comparing the Jins Rast and Nahawand. My name is Sameh Bouchamez, and before I continue, I just want to give a big shout out to both my new subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much for subscribing to the page, and my supporters on Patreon. Your support is really helping me keep going with this. I can't tell you how grateful I am. If you're one of those who can't afford to support this would be the money that you might spend on music lessons otherwise, and you're getting a lot out of these. Please visit my Patreon page below where you can sign up. And $10 a month will actually get you access to bonus video content. So you might want to consider it for that reason. Okay, so this lesson is going to be a little bit different than the ones that we've had so far. And if you have not yet watched the videos dedicated to Jins Rast and Jins Nahawand, you want to do both of those before doing this video. This video depends on having the understanding that's going to come to you, that you're going to embody after working with those other two videos. So the links to those two videos are also below in the chat, in the description. And of course, you might want to go back to them after doing this if you've already done them. So yeah, the point of most of the videos that are dedicated each one to a single jins is that there's a lot of different practices that are going to help you embody the jins in several different ways. The melodic vocabulary, the intonation of the notes, and the mood of that jins, as well as song examples. So I'm going to take a little bit of all of those strategies and combine them, but what I'm going to do today is we're going to focus on trying to do something in every key to benefit both the vocalists and the instrumentalists. So I'm going to compare Rast and Nahawand in every single key, well, all 12 keys of the equal tempered scale. That's another story. But we'll start with C, which is the key that they're mostly conceptualized on, and I'll give you the template, and then I'm going to move quickly through all the other keys, just so that you have a little bit of like a minute of practice in each key, essentially is what this lesson is going to be. Okay, so Rast is that, and Nahawand is this. So what do you notice just from the start as the difference? And if you've taken those two lessons, what do you notice as the difference? Let's start actually not by talking about the difference. Let's start by talking about what's the same. So right now I'm playing them with the same tonic. Just sing. When I play Rast on this tonic, it sounds like. And when I play Nahawand on the same tonic. Now, the other thing you might start to notice is that there was a similarity in both of those melodies, and that similarity was the gammaz. The gammaz, you'll remember, is the other note, other than the tonic, that melodies in a jins emphasize, and that was this note. So Rast and Nahawand both have this tonic and this gammaz. Listen for those two notes and see how they're the same. Rast, Nahawand, you should hear that this note is emphasized in both. So let's count up. Let's use the numbering system. The tonic is 1, and how far apart is that gammaz? Let's count up using Rast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the gammaz is 5. Let's just verify it's the same by doing the same in Nahawand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we get to the same note. And now you should be able to tell me what's the difference between those two ajnas, just in terms of intervals and notes. Can you guess where the difference is? For those of you who guessed that the difference was on the third scale degree, you are correct. Rust and Nahawand share the first scale degree, same second scale degree. Rust has this third degree. 4, 5. Nahawand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, is the third scale degree of Nahawand lower or higher than Rust? If you guessed lower, you were correct. 1, 2, 3. So now let's do some exercises just to solidify that intervallic understanding, the understanding of the position of the notes. 1, 2, 3. So now this is where you're going to want to repeat after me. I'll do a phrase and you sing it or play it on your instrument. And preferably you do it once singing and once playing on your instrument. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And in Rust. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Back to Nahawand. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Back to Rust. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, if that seems like a very small difference, doesn't mean it's not important. It's a very small difference in terms of the size of the notes, but it's a huge difference in terms of the impact of the jins and the feeling and the mood. And anyway, culture is full of what Freud called the narcissism of small differences. Sometimes the smaller differences are the more important ones. So this particular difference, only one note, is one of the most profound and important things that happen in Arabic music, is when Nahawand and Rust move between one and the other. We're going to see examples of that throughout this whole Maqam Lesson series. I'm going to give a few more examples towards the end of this lesson with other songs. But Rust and Nahawand move back and forth both when they're on the same jins, on the same tonic, and also when they're performing the role of a secondary jins in another maqam. And if you watched episode 4 last week on Maqam Hijaz, you'll see that Rust and Nahawand are on the 4th scale degree of Hijaz, and they move back and forth. The same is true with Bayati. Maybe you're coming to this video after you already watched a Bayati video, and you're coming to check that out. The same is true of Maqam Kurd. So this thing that happens between Rust and Nahawand is one of the most common things you're going to hear in Arabic music, and that's why we're going to do it in every key, because you're going to hear it in every key. So let me shut up a little bit and go back to the music. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's basically what we want to do. So let's quickly do a couple other intervallic exercises. In Nahawand. That's where the difference is. So that's the basic intervallic exercise to help you do that. And you know, repeat that. Do it in different vowel sounds if you're a singer. Do it in different finger positions if you are an instrumentalist. And C is a great key for violin and oud players. Of course, that's going to be the key it's going to be written on a lot of the time. So let's just use a super short melodic vocabulary phrase. Like I said, you want to learn all the melodic vocabulary in those other videos, but we can just, if you've already done that, use a couple really short pieces of melodic vocabulary. So let's just repeat Rust and then Nahawand. Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil. And for Nahawand. Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil. And you should observe the mood there. And now for the final little thing to compare. I'm going to use two of the most famous examples, and you're going to have to forgive me that I'm going back yet again to Kulthum. It's just too easy. There's so much there. And you have to know Ghan Lili Shwaya, and you have to know Alf Layla if you're an Arab musician. You have to know those songs. So if you don't, go learn them now. But you want to, even if you're an instrumentalist, you have to sing them. So obviously we sang through Ghan Lili Shwaya, Shwaya, Ghan Lili Wukhudaineya. Even if you only learn the first part, you should do that now. So the words to the first part, pardon my second generation immigrant Arabic, Ghanni shwaya. So just sing this part. Ghanni li, shwaya, 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 shwaya. And put it together. Ghanni li, shwaya, shwaya. And from Kulthum's Alf Layla. Ya Habibi, Ya Habibi. Great Nahawand phrase. Now I'm going to sing them together and you're going to see how they fit and how they're going to really illustrate that third scale degree being different. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Ghanni li shwaya, shwaya, ya habibi. Try that with me. Ghanni li shwaya, shwaya, ya habibi. Even makes sense in Arabic. Sing to me a little bit, oh my love. Okay, so that's in the key of C. I'm going to do a shortened version of everything we just did in all the other keys now. So let's move to key of D. Rust. 1, 2, 3. Nahawand. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Little interval exercise. And in Nahawand, and to use our basic Jins melodies. Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil. And Nahawand. Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil, Ya Leil. And the song example. Ghanni li shwaya, shwaya, ya habibi. Ghanni li shwaya, shwaya, ya habibi. Okay? That's the key of D. Going up the scale, let's do F. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm doing the keys that work in a violin or oud tuned in standard Arabic tuning. My violin is tuned G, D, G, C. Now, a lot of Arab violinists tune G, D, G, D. It's actually more common, but I'm copying the way Sami Shawa did it. I think one or two other early 20th century violinists did it. I played G, D, G, D for many years, and then back in 2012, I was like, let me switch, because it's just like the top three strings of the oud, and it enables you to get other keys. That's another story. Anyway, so what I'm doing now is I'm playing on this violin the keys that are you're going to encounter as a musician. Okay? So we did C, D, here's F. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? And in Nahawand, and melodies, ya leeni, ya leen, ya leeni, ya leen. And the song melodies, غني لي شوي شوي يا حبيبي. Okay, so that's F. G, super common. You're going to find a lot of songs notated with the change in Rast and Nahawand happening on G if you're in Bayati on D, Hijaz on D, etc. This is the fourth scale degree. Okay? So we're talking about the G, A, B, half flat, or G, A, B, flat, G, A, B, half flat, G, A, B, flat, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the intervals, and in Nahawand, and the basic melodies, ya leeni, ya leen, ya leeni, ya leen. Pardon my imperfect intonation there. And Nahawand, ya leeni, ya leen, ya leen, ya leeni, ya leen, ya leen. And the little silly song mashup I made. غني لي شوي شوي يا حبيبي. غني لي شوي شوي يا حبيبي. And the key of A. This key is not so easy in this tuning, but it's possible. It's something that I've practiced. It's not going to sound as good when I play it here. But you should still be practicing it as an instrumentalist, because a lot of singers will want to do it on that key. Some Layla Murad songs in Rust are on A. Anyway, you're going to find that you'll encounter songs in Rust on A, especially with female singers. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. song melody, Jins melodies. Ya lil, 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 غني لي شوي شوي، غني لي وخد عيني، غني لي شوية شوية يا حبيبي يا حبيبي. So those are all the keys that I'm going to get from this intonation that are going to sound okay. So by using the same intonation on a violin that's tuned a step lower, which in Egypt is called taba'a sughayara, step down, smaller key, smaller level, we can get very popular key Rast and Nahawand on B flat. I'm playing with my fingering on as though it's Rast on C. And if you are serious as an instrumentalist, whether it's violin or oud, and you have two violins or two ouds, and you have a cheaper one, tune one of them a step down so that you can practice. You're going to find that there's going to be a lot of stuff from recordings that you can play along with if you're tuned down a step. So let's do B flat. So again, if you don't have that, then just sing along, because we still want to practice B flat for the singers out there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. غني لي شوي شوي، غني لي وخد عيني يا حبيبي يا ليلي يا ليل يا ليل يا ليل يا ليل يا ليل يا ليل. And we didn't do the interval exercises. So that's B flat. The next fairly decent key is going to be E flat, because it's going to be played as though it was Rast or Nahawand on F. So this is E flat. غني لي شوي شوية يا حبيبي يا ليل 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 يا ليل. I hope you're not like watching the whole video all at once by this point, because your ears might be disoriented. You want to watch each key, practice each key for yourself, both with the video and without, and then, move on to the next key. So anyway, that was E flat. We did F. What other keys can I do that are going to be convenient using this violin? None of the others, because if I play A, it's going to be G, which we already did. If I play G, it's going to be F, which we already did. If I play D, it's going to be C, which we already did. So now to get the rest of the keys, I'm going to have to do something else. So, I'm going to use a drone app on my old iPhone. Let's pull up the drone. This is what I use. It's called Duani Tempura app. I like it. You might find a better one. It lets you do this. It lets you pick. It's an Indian music drone app, but it lets you pick pitch, tempo, other stuff. I don't own stock in the company or have any affiliation with them. So this is the key of B, which you'll find on recordings. So when I have a recording that's tuned to B, I tune my violin a half step down, or my low violin a half step up. B, then ni, li, shuway, shuway, then ni, li, shuway, shuway, ya habibi, ya habibi. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ah, 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 ah. E, 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 E. Ya ning ning ya ning ya ning ya ling ning ya ling. So that's B. B. So let's do next key that we didn't get to, C sharp. I like to start with melodies, honestly. Ya ling ning ya ling ya ling ning ya ling ya ling ya ning ning ya ning ya ning ning ya ning ya ning ya ning ya ning ya ning ya habibi ya habibi غني لي شوي شوي غني لي يا حبيبي 1, 2, 3 1, 2, 3 1, 2, 3 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's C sharp. Next key we didn't do was E natural. E natural, you might think, oh, why? That sounds easy. If you have a violin that's tuned Western tuning, then doing this in E natural is going to be just fine for you. The problem with Arabic tuning is E natural, the third scale degree is G half sharp, which you have all these open G strings, it's just going to mess with you. It's really hard. I personally wouldn't publicly play Rust on E on my violin unless it was upper Rust in the key of A. That's another story for the next lesson. But here we are in E. 1, 2, 3 1, 2, 3 ah 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 ah. غني لي شوي شوي يا حبيبي يا ليل 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 يا So that was E. Next key we didn't do was F sharp. There's some Kulthum songs where she's in the low octave. Super low for men. But just for the heck of it, I'll do it there. Li shuai shuai li ukhudainaya ya habibi ya habibi ya lini ya lin ya lin ya lin ya lin ya lin ya lin. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ah, 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 ah. Ah, 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 ah. F sharp. And the last one we haven't done is G sharp or A flat. غني لي شوي شوي غني لي وخدايني. Now, Karim Mahmoud, for example, there's a couple of his songs, he's singing Rust on A flat, like all the way up there. He's not singing. النبي طلع النبي دود الحليوة أحبابي. Rust on A flat. يا حبيبي. But if most of you are going to want to sing it lower. يا حبيبي غني لي شوي شوي غني لي وخد عيني يا لين يا لين يا لين يا لين يا لين يا نين يا نيني. آه 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 آه. Now, okay, so those are your practice. I'm going to give you one little final listening thing as we go out of this lesson. I know this is a lot already. This lesson you can come back to and say, oh, I really want to practice it on A flat. I'm going to go to that section of the lesson. Hopefully, if I'm smart, when I posted this, I'll actually post the time links. I guess this is a reminder to myself. So now I want to do a listening test for you. You already should listen from the Maqam Hijaz basic lesson how Rust and Nahawand go back and forth on the top of Enif Intizarik. We compared the third verse. اتقلب على جمر النار على جمر النار واتشرد ويا الأفكار النسمة أحسبها. So on the word nisma, it switches from Rust to Nahawand. That's in the prior lesson, lesson 4 on Maqam Hijaz. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 more examples, and what I want you to do is I want you to guess when it goes between Rust and Nahawand in these examples. Okay? So the first is where Rast and Nahawand occur on the fourth scale degree of Maqam Bayati. Bayati, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to start, and we're going to do Nahawand then Rast. Your point is to guess the point where it switches. Nura, Nura ya isma lem simma, الليل بيه يبقى نهار، عشت انتي وعاش مين سما، يا أميرة على النوار، يا نسيم رفاف، يا ضمير شفاف، ولا إيش أوصاف توفيك الحق يا نورة. So that passage, Nahawand, a little bit of Rast, and back to Nahawand. See if you can catch where it was. Same Maqam, Bayati, with Rast and Nahawand on 4. Baidannak. Second verse. نسيت النوم وأحلامه، نسيت ليالي وأيامه، وبين الليل وآلامه، بين الخوف وأوهامه، بخاف عليك، بخاف تنساني، والشوق إليك على طول صحاني، صحاني، صحاني. Okay, so there were several switches back and forth between Rast and Nahawand there. And final example is in a song in Nahawand, one of the favorite ones I've been working on lately. Abdul Wahab's Ya Wardi Min Yashtarik. And this one is in Maqam Nahawand, but there's a couple moments where it goes to Rast. And one of the beautiful ones is in the first verse. Abiyad غار النهار منه، خجول محتار، بس الندف خده، جارت عليه الأغصان. We're still in Nahawand, by the way. راح للنسيم واشتكى، جرح خدوده وبكى، راح للنسيم واشتكى، جرح خدوده وبكى، أفدي الخدود التي تعبت في مهجتي، يا وردي ليه الخجل، فيك يحلو الغزل، يا وردي. Now, of course, there's a few chromatic modulations there, so you want to be careful. Listen for the Rast. If you know some of the other rest of the maqamat, you'll hear that there's a little bit of nikriz, some other stuff going on. But listen for the Rast. So that's it for today. That's a lot of material for you to work with. This is a lesson that's not go it all through at once kind of lesson. Thank you. Huge thanks to my subscribers, Patreon supporters. If you want to support me on Patreon, I'll really appreciate it. It'll help me keep going. Link is below, as are the links to the Jins Nahawand and Jins Rast lessons. So thanks very much. Even if you're not a subscriber, even if you're not a supporter, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting and asking questions. I really appreciate it. Okay, have a lovely day.